PK52, the Saturday morning meeting, set up in a green screen setup. So in the background, it all looks black. But the crazy thing about doing green screen is if I've got something to say and I need you to understand something. For example, instead of being in sales, being in education, I've said that for years, I want to educate the level of the understanding of the product that I'm trying to sell. So education becomes key. So a lot of people learn in multiple different ways. Years and years ago, we were very audible learners. You can go back to the day before television. People used to sit in front of the radio and look at the radio. And so they were learning through their ears. They could visualize. It was called a verbal visual. You could see the superhero or the masked Lone Ranger or whatever the show was. In your mind, because of the audio, you could actually picture it. And so we've evolved now because everything now is digital. And so we're very visual learners. So if you're trying to speak to somebody and trying to educate them, trying to make them understand something, and they're a visual learner and all you're doing is talking, then there's a limited amount of information that's being transferred. So I love to be able to talk about stuff. And if I was doing a full podcast right here, then everything I said would be written behind here. It would, so you could read it. And then there would be photos that would host the idea that I'm presenting right now. And green screen setup's easy. Anybody that's in the selling space. let's talk about selling for a second. That is like the worst word, and I don't know, it's almost like a curse word. Oh, I'm not in sales. Listen, if you've ever had somebody tell you no in any situation in your life, and before the end of the situation, they said yes, you're in sales. If you ever asked somebody out for a date and they didn't go the first time and they went the second time, you're in sales. Preachers are in sales. Police officers, teachers are in sales. You know, we're all trying to get information to somebody so they can make a decision, which unfortunately today I'm going to call sales. And so this setup is so easy. And if you're any kind of selling space at all where you're trying to sell a product, an idea, or any kind of community involvement or any kind of special task, you should have a green screen set up somewhere in your home or somewhere in your office because it's very valuable to be able to educate visually, audibly, and kinesthetically. So again, the more people understand, the more apt they are to agree with you, and agreement sometimes ends up being not only a sale, but a lifelong partnership with a product relationship. And that's what we're trying to do. I'm in the automotive space, and the automotive space is very easy. If every single person comes back and buys multiple units from you, then your career is absolutely explosive. Unfortunately, 90+% of the people in any kind of sales industry sell one thing at a time. And they end up usually getting out of the business. And the crazy thing about it is they will spend the majority of their day complaining about what they can't control. They complain about management. They complain about product. They complain. It's crazy how people complain. I want to take you back because I don't know all of you personally. Some of you I do. And I just want you to know there's something in your life that moved you to where you are right now. And who knows whether it was a positive or whether it was a negative or a need, but you're where you are right now because of something. I know in that cerebral, I'm like the smartest guy in the world. So I got in the automotive space back in the 80s. There was a reason that I got in the space. I actually knew the dealer that had just bought a Toyota store, and he invited me over. At that point in time, I didn't really have gainful employment. And so I thought, I'll go sell cars. Couldn't be that hard. And until I find a real job. And here I am in 2024, and I guess I'm still looking for a real job, still in the automotive space. It's a phenomenal place to be if you're positive about the space. I've been selling for a while, and Toyota was really growing at the time. There was fuel shortages and different things, and Toyota had the economy car, and so the brand was rocket. And we were a pretty rural store, so we didn't get a whole lot of Toyota motor sales people coming out there. District manager came by every once in a while, but we never met anybody from Toyota. We get videos from the Japanese cohorts. And really, back then, they'd actually thank the salespeople for our participation in selling their product, which they don't do anymore, which is a giant mistake. But it was pretty cool to be able to hear from people from another country thanking us for our labor and hard work and helping them build the brand. They gave us credit. And probably the reason I'm still with Toyota because of the way they made me feel about my part of helping them grow their company. So again, I was just a sales guy. There was an event. It was in Dallas, which is about 4.5 hours from where I was. And we were all invited to go and encouraged to go. The dealer didn't have to pay for it. And so they sent 3 of us and me, so 3 sales people and me, got in a car and I will tell you from the moment we got in the car, the other 3 people complained the whole way. I mean, we took a 4.5 hour trip. It felt like 6-7 months. Why we got to go to this? This is stupid. We don't need to be there. We should be back trying to sell cars. And they're just, it was, it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. But I finally made it there. And you know, they were going, well, why are you so excited? I go, they're going to show us a brand new product that hadn't been in America. This is brand new. Nobody's seen this product. We're going to be the first people to see this product. And I said, I'm super pumped to be able to tell my client base that they can buy this product before anybody else has ever seen it. I'll sell it to them en route to the dealership. And they go, oh, you're not going to be able to do that. Well, again, everything I said was, you know, they just waved off. And so we got to the event. I went and got and sat in the front row, and they came down there. We're not trying to sit in the front row, Casey. I said, thank goodness. Want you to sit with me. I was beyond the corner, man. I was to the point where I was going to try to get in the car and leave them, you know, and let them walk back. So anyway, I sat there, and there were the Japanese nationals were going to be there, some other people that I knew their names, and then some of the United States people. Back then, they worked really, really close together, but it was 2 divided areas. And I was so interested that I didn't even really want to see the product that we're going to unveil. I wanted to go up there, and I use any names. I wanted to shake hands and go, I've been following you. Thank you so much for thanking. I mean, I just wanted to tell them why I was working with Toyota still. And I was up there, and they had a gigantic auditorium. We had people all over Texas. We had people from Arkansas and Oklahoma and Louisiana that came in. So I'm sitting there, and the guy comes up, starts talking about the events of the day and who was going to be there and the messages we were going to hear. And I was going like, yes, man, this is worth my 4.5 hour drive up here and the same way back. And they dimmed the lights, and here came the first Japanese national on video. He wasn't there. And he spoke, and everybody clapped. And look at me, I did not clap. I'm not clapping for a video. I'm sorry. You cannot make me clap for a video. If you fly from Japan to Dallas, Texas, and you take your time to speak to me one-on-one with me in that front row, oh, I'm standing O. But no, you know what? I got a little angry, and I don't normally get angry. I got a little angry. And then a couple more people, video, nobody, not one person from Toyota National or from the Japanese partnership were at that meeting. I was so upset. They took the covers off the car, and whatever. This is another car. I got in the car on the way back, and you do not understand the amount of taunting I got from these 3 other full-grown men. They were going off on me. Like, you're an idiot, Casey. You expected all this. We blew a day coming up here. This was stupid. We should have never come. And so about halfway there, I pulled over, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take all of you out of the car, throw you in the ditch, and I'm going to leave you. So you need to shut up. And they go, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, you know what? That's a great question. Because I've been thinking about that myself. In fact, I got people blowing me up on the text right now because obviously they want to talk about this. So listen, I said, one day I'm going to host an event like that. It doesn't take a whole lot to bring a bunch of people in the room and give them what they came for. That doesn't take a lot of effort. And I'm going to make sure that I want to make sure the people sitting in the chairs are the most important people in the room. And they clowned me like you don't even understand. They started laughing out loud. They thought that was the funniest joke of all time. But from that moment, I knew that I was going to be in the automotive training space. I knew that I was going to do what I'm doing right now, but it didn't happen overnight because nothing happens overnight, gang. Overnight is when somebody in your family passes away and they leave you inheritance or you win the lottery. That's overnight. Sometimes you have to put some elbow grease, some effort into it to make it happen. So I read a book way back there. It was Awaken the Sleeping Giant by Tony Robbins. And, you know, this guy, if you don't know his story, you should read one of his books. I'll sell a book for him. Read his first couple of books and find out where this guy came from. And then look at where he is right now. So the reason I'm giving you this message is because I took my personal time this week, and there's a 3-day seminar that he put on Facebook for free. And I know if you're in the automotive space, I know you saw it. I know you saw it. You opted not to watch it. I watched it. I wanted to find out where this guy had come from. He's got a partner named Dean right now that I've never heard of before. And I wanted to find out what they're doing. Now, obviously, Tony with infomercials because there was no internet, there was no Facebook, there was no social media. So he paid his money, bought a studio, and would create an infomercial to try to sell his product. Well, what was this 3-day seminar about? It was about a new system that they've developed that they're trying to sell. I have no problem with that. If this thing is everything they says, it's probably worth the money. And so, but the whole first day and a half, they talked about wake up. Wake up. You're the problem. If you want to get better at something, you got to get better at something. You've got to make a decision. And it doesn't all happen overnight. You know, it's not what you plan to do 10 years from now. So I've always told people, you know, if you're taking a phone call from a prospective client, stand up, get out of your chair. Because you know what you sound like when you're in a chair? You sound like you're sitting in a chair with your feet up on your desk like you don't even give a damn. That's what you sound like. Kick the chair out from getting a hitting position in the athletic pose and bring the level of your voice up. They can't see you. They can't see your facial expressions or your arm gyrations. They can't see how motivated you are to speak to them. So you at least need to project that over the phone. And the way you do that is to get in a frame. Now, that's the greatest athletes in the world practice and then they perform. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Perform the greatest skills of all time with every person because they're depending on you. It used to upset me when I didn't sell somebody a car because I knew I sent them to another place to start over from the beginning. And why would anybody want to do that? It's already hard enough. And then I failed them and sent them somewhere else where they had to start with somebody else that probably really wanted to build a relationship. They just wanted to sell them a car. And so I've always felt that way. And I watched this podcast, and I got to be honest with you. They put it on for free. And let me finish up with this. So the second day when they came on, obviously they looked at all the feed they got in. They had their people looking at it, and they looked at all the positives. There was negative comments. This was a free YouTube video about enriching your life and enriching yourself. That's all it was. It was all about get out of your own way and enjoy the world. And people said, we didn't like the piped in music. It was too loud and all the clapping and stuff because Tony does this, yes, and he does all the motivation like the best coach you've ever had. You know, some people need a damn coach. You know, I got no problem with that. And they go, oh, the piped in clapping and applause was ridiculous. We don't believe you're alive. And I thought, what a tragic thing. This man or woman was watching this free YouTube deal on how to change your life, and the only thing they could do for the 3 hours is be upset with things that they didn't like. Wow. Talking about a roadblock. Are you your own roadblock? Are you in your own way? Do you find yourself complaining about things that you know you can't change? Do you find yourself making excuses about things you could have done that you didn't do? Are you trying to get better every single day? Because the crazy thing about it is way over 90% of the world will tell you why it can't be done. And I like one of the things that Dean said yesterday. And again, I've never met this guy before, but he said this yesterday. And I thought it was really important. He said, people look at him and go, I've tried everything. Is that true? You tried everything and it failed. There was nothing left to try. You tried everything. And you and I both know that is not correct. You have yet to try everything. PK52, the Saturday morning meeting.